Hi everyone, today I'm gonna show you how to make this moss stitch scarf. This is a beginner friendly pattern and it uses all the scrap yarn. So if you have some scrap yarn and you don't know what to use with them, then this is the perfect project for you. It uses the single crochet and the chain stitch, making it beginner friendly and very easy to make. I also have the free written pattern on our blog dreamcrochets.com and I'll add the link in the description box below. So I hope you enjoy and let's get started. For the tutorial, you're going to need worsted weight yarn. You can use scrap yarn or you can use whole yarn depending on the quantity of yarn that you have, and you're going to use one color for every row. So your leftover should also be enough to work one row. And then you're going to need two crochet hooks, the 5.0mm for your foundation chain and then the 6.0mm for your general work. And then you're going to need a pair of scissors in the tape measure. So to begin, you're going to grab your first color and then relieve around 8 to 10 inches for the fringe, and then make a slip knot. And with your 5.0mm hook, you're going to chain 301. So to make a chain, you're going to wrap the yarn around your hook and then pull through that loop on the hook. Wrap yarn, pull through that loop. Wrap yarn, pull through that loop, and repeat until you have 300 chains. So to count the number of chains, you're going to count these V stitches. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So go ahead until you have 300 and then I'll meet you in row 1. So I went ahead and made my 301 chains, and this is how it looks like. If it's too long for you, you can reduce the number of chains, and if it's shorter, you can add the number of chains. What you want to do is to ensure that there are odd number of chains. So for row 1, you're going to skip the first stitch, this one, and then on this next stitch, you're going to turn it and work on the back bumps. So insert your hook in that back bump, then yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. Chain 1, skip the next chain, and on the next chain you're going to repeat the same. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Sorry, I forgot to mention that we changed our hooks from the 5mm to this 6mm. Then chain 1, skip the next, and in the next work a single crochet. So that's what you're going to repeat all through the row until you reach the end. Chain 1, skip the next chain, and in the next chain work a single crochet. So repeat this until you have 1 stitch or 1 chain remaining at the end of your row. So after working your row all through to the second last stitch, what you're going to do after working the last single crochet, don't chain 1, just go in the very last chain and then single crochet in that chain. But instead of finishing this with a single crochet stitch, you're going to yarn over your hook and then take your next color. I'll be taking red. Leave roughly 10 inches for the fringe or the frills. Then yarn over your hook and pull through all the 3 loops. Chain 1 to secure that stitch and then cut your yarn. So recut your previous yarn color. And for round 2, and for row 2, you're going to turn your work, single crochet in that very first stitch. So this is going to be our repeat row. Then chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the chain 1 space. chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the chain space. So this is what you're going to repeat all through to the end of your row by chaining 1, skipping the stitches and working single crochet in the chain 1 spaces until you reach your last chain 1 space, and then I'll meet you when you're working your very last stitch. So after working in your last chain 1 space, go in the last stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. Do not complete that stitch, bring your yarn forward and then leave approximately 10 inches for the fringe, depending on the inches you left for the previous 2 color yarns. Then grab the new color and pull through all the 3 loops. Chain 1 to secure the previous color and then turn your work. So at this point you can just cut your yarn of previous color. You want to ensure that they're of the same length. Then turn your work. So what you're going to do, you're going to repeat row 2 pattern until your number of rows measures 8 to 12 inches depending on how wide or long you want your scarf to be. So I'll continue with my pattern and then I'll meet you when you're through with your number of rows. So I went ahead and made 43 rows, and this is how the work looks like so far. I'm comfortable with this width and it measures 11 inches. So if you want a wider one, you can go ahead and add more rows and then finish off your work. So at the end of your rows, after working that last stitch on the last single crochet stitch, you're going to chain 1 and then cut your yarn, but you're going to cut it at the length of these other ends. Then pull that loop through. For the tassels, you can just leave them this way, or what you can do, you can braid them as I did on this other side. To do that, you can either braid 3 strands or 6 strands, and for this particular side I'm going to braid 3 strands. So pick 3 strands of yarn and then you want to braid them by interlocking them like this. So just braid it. When you reach the end, I'll show you how to tie a knot and then cut the remaining end. And one thing, you want to ensure that all the strands are of the same length. So just go ahead and braid it till the end of the braid, and then I'll show you how to tie a knot at the end. When you reach the end of that braid, leave about 2 inches of yarn and then grab one strand, wrap it around the 2 strands and pull it through that loop that you've just created and tighten it. Repeat it one more time, and then at this point you can just go ahead and level the strands. So grab your scissors and level them. That's what you're going to do. If you've opted to go this way, just braid each strand 3 or 6 depending with your preference until the end. So since our number of rows is not divisible by 3, you might end up having maybe 2 ends at the end you'll end up with 2 loops or 2 strands at the end. So what you can do, you can join the 2 strands with your last 3 strands And sorry, let me just undo this one. So when you have 5 strands like this, it might be 5 or 4, or yeah, 5 or 4, because our strands are divisible or multiple of 3. So take 2, 2, and then 1 and braid them together. So you're going to grab the 2 at the end and the 2 at the beginning, then 1 in the middle, and just braid it. So do that to the end, then tie a knot to fasten it, cut it to the same length of your ends, and I went ahead and finished braiding the tassels, and this is how they look like. I'm really in love with how these look like, and I prefer the 3-strand braids as opposed to the 6 strands. So I did the 6 strands on this side, and they are chunky. I don't love them. They are very spaced out, so I'd really advise you to go with the 3 strands. They are so neat and so pretty. So if you'd like to see how I style this scarf, please check my Instagram account. I'll leave the link in the description box below. That's all for today's video. Please stay safe, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like button and comment.